Ni hao, wishes Stephanie. This is hilarious. I'm in northern Puxi, which is Shanghai has two parts, right? One is Puxi, which is west of the river, and one is Pudong, which is north of the river. And there's a green belt in the area that I'm in. It's about maybe 40 minutes from the city center on the metro on one line, thank God, yay! But the green belt, as you can see, is rather green, but it's very, very new, and you can literally walk it in 5 minutes. Like, it's not actually a green belt of the whole neighborhood, it's just a green belt of this block, it feels like. So I thought this would be a good shaded place because it's super hot right now. It's about, well, super hot for March. It's, I want to say about 22, 23 Celsius, about 80, I think, in Fahrenheit. So it's crazy for now, and it's really needed. I'm super happy, but I wanted to talk a little bit more. I wanted to flesh out something that I talked about yesterday. I'm actually checking out some of these trees to see if they could be a makeshift tripod. How cool would that be? Oh, getting creative. So yes, in a video that I made very recently, I talked about, sorry, trying to get less glare. There we go. I talked about how I think that the amount of stroke orders and thus the complicity of the words, it had like a direct correlation to how quickly it moved up the Lightner box levels. And I jokingly said it, and then I don't really edit the videos anymore because YouTube took away that free service, and we're doing way too much editing with my podcast, and so I'm sort of edited out. But I do watch them to make sure that there's, you know, a purpose for them, and they're not silly and unwanted and all those kinds of things. So I do that. So when I was rewatching it, I was like, oh, that idea needs to be fleshed out some more. So I'm actually going to try to get into my bag here. I have some note cards with me today, some flashcards with me today, and I want to show you some examples of what I think might go quickly in the card deck that I have for level 1. Well, in the card deck now, and ones that might take a while. So hold on one second. I have a rubber band around it, so it needs to, there. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you see some green for a second. Okay, so this isn't always true. For example, for the cards that look like what they mean, it's less true. But there's a lot of cards that don't, what am I saying? The language is not cards. For a lot of words, that does not exist. Okay, so there's that. So let me show you some examples in my current level 1 deck, and there's 7 levels of the Lightner box. Mine is a bag, not a box, but so be it. Oh man, it's hard to hold this thing up. I need to start carrying something around. Okay, but I'm glad to be back outside and to show you a different part of Shanghai again. Can't hold it from that side. Okay, sorry, issues. This is from HSK2. I don't know this yet, but it's pretty simple in the lines. I don't even know how many strokes it is. I don't actually write that information down now. I probably won't write that until the end. But what I do write down, and you'll probably see this backwards because I'm using the wrong phone because I didn't even think this was going to happen. It entered level 1 yesterday on the 27th. I think that's yesterday. And it's Jin, and it means near. It means near, sorry. Hair on the shirt. Okay, I can focus. So it means near. But you can see it has very, very few strokes. So I think that one's going to go up the deck pretty quickly. As opposed to this creature, even if you see it backwards, you can see how many more strokes it is. And this is only 2 syllables, folks. 2 syllables. And the writing up here is especially bad. Though there shouldn't be as much space between this component and these things that look like they're flying. What does this one mean? Trying to turn it around. It was added, it's Chun Bi. It means pencil. Really? Yeah, it does. Okay, and that was added on the 22nd. So you can already see there's this one, because it's more complicated, it's still in level 1, even though it's been about 6 days. And the other one was just added yesterday, and will probably fly out of level 1 within just a few days. Because look how many freaking strokes there are in that. Yeah, so that's the way that is. So I'm predicting those, and I've seen this happen time and time and time again. There's a bunch of them that I added last week that are already in level 4. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Even ones that don't look anything like what the word looks like the meaning doesn't really, sorry, the look of the word doesn't give you any indication. I can't do any animations or anything like that. Oh, pretty doggy. Look at the pretty doggy. Can you see him? Very nice dog. Beautiful. Okay, I'm not sure that was really appreciated. Then again, I'm filming in the wild. I haven't done this in months. It's super awkward still. And there are some security guards in the business behind me who may have been heading their way. Anyway, I never got used to this. So what I'm going to do, here's the reason for this video, is I'm actually going to track it. I wanted to track how fast the words in general went up to level 7 to be able to predict for future HSK levels when to start studying for the next test. And I didn't even realize I could use it for this purpose, but what I'm going to do, I need to find some shade. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to track I'm going to start writing the stroke numbers, and I'm literally just going to keep a paper list, and I'm going to say stroke number and the date started in the deck and when it got to level 7, or when it got out of level 7, which is when it graduated from the Lightner box method. And so I want to see, it's going to take months to have this information, but I wanted to document that I'm starting to do this, that I want to see if, for me, is there really a direct correlation between when stroke, or how many strokes there are in a word, and how quickly it can be remembered consecutively 7 times, which really then transfers into more long-term memory once you can do that over that period of time, which is 64 days. So it's going to take me at least 64 days to get the first tentative list down. But I think it'd be pretty interesting. And what does this mean for language learning if it's not just me that this affects? And have people already done this? If you know anyone who's already built language learning materials for Chinese based on this information, then do let me know. I know there's a lot of word frequency lists, and HSK itself is word frequency wise, but where does number of strokes fit in? I know you can order your vocabulary by stroke order, and I've seen even HSK lists ordered that way. I've seen radical lists ordered that way. But are there any language learning materials for Chinese that specifically target learning the simpler words with less stroke orders up to the more complicated ones? I don't even know if this should be a thing. I'm just kind of pondering what might help. For me, as I add new cards to the deck right now, I try to add ones with very few stroke orders and super complex ones with many stroke orders at the same time, so they kind of balance each other out, because I know some of them will fly up higher or quicker and some of them will take a long time, and I don't want to demotivate myself by having only the ones with a lot of strokes in them, and then I'll just feel like none of them are moving up and I'll get super demotivated. So for me, I'm trying to add both kinds at the same time when I add like 4 or 5 cards a day to my deck. So I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but that's the way I'm doing it right now. So it'd be interesting to see if you noticed this when you were studying Chinese, or if you know somebody who's making materials based on this for words. That would be awesome. Thank you. More soon. Zaijian.